What's up, guys? It's Missy. I am back with another SimCity Build a video, and just to give you guys an update on the issue that I was having on startup with this device. I had recently bought a phone, and it was doing something that one of my other phones did, and that was every time I would try to open the game, it would just blinks and crashes. Now, I tried everything under the sun, okay? I tried the, reinstalling, uninstalling, Wi-Fi, no Wi-Fi, clearing the cache. I mean, literally everything. I've tried everything. Then I was like, okay, so I went into the settings and it said there was no permissions allowed. So I went through and changed that to allowed, not deny. And it works 50% of the time now. So basically what I end up doing is I end up just repeatedly hitting the damn game until it finally opens. And then if I can't get it within like 5 or 6 tries, I end up having to like restart the phone, trying again. I clear the RAM. I tried buying downloading this game booster, like game launcher thing, which seemed to have really no effect, honestly, on anything. So I don't know what the exact rhyme or reason is for it just yet, but if I do come up with an actual solution, I will be sure to update you guys, okay? So, this video today, we're going to talk about what's going on with the contest of mayors and why you guys are experiencing these crazy loops. Or maybe not really why, but that they are in fact happening. One of the things that I've noticed with the people in my group is that they are getting into these loops very early on in the contest. So before this latest update, you used to get in loops at the end of the contest. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with what a loop is, it's when you get the same 2 assignments back to back. So let's say that you pick an assignment and it's a Launch 3 VU. And then it gives you a Upgrade 3 Tokyo, okay? If you pick the Launch 3 VU again, it's going to give you a Upgrade Tokyo 3K. And then back to back to back. And it's just going to keep doing that until you select a different task and break the loop. Now, that's what a loop has always been in the SimCity world for as long as I can remember. And it would never happen at the beginning of the contest. It always happened near the end of the contest, like maybe the last 15 tasks or so. And so you always had to be super careful on your choices because you didn't want to get put into a loop that was problematic. Something like, yeah, a Launch 3 VU loop for 15 tasks, that's only 7. And so 7 tasks after you split it in half. That's not too bad. You can deal with that. But if you're getting put into these loops really, really early on in the contest, that's really bad. It's going to take away all your resources. And so for those of you who have been noticing this, if you're seeing this, you can break the loop, okay? But the problem is that the loops are usually really good right now. And so you don't want to break them. For example, CPT had a loop at the very beginning. It was like the first 5 or 6 tasks. And he screenshotted them all, and I'll show you guys here in just a minute. But he was in a situation where he was getting a Upgrade 3 war cards and then a Launch 3 VU, right? Back to back to back. Now, I have no doubt in my mind that this would have continued on for as long as he could carry it, right? Now, he isn't going to go and spend a bunch of real money on war card bundle packs, right? And a bunch of money on cash for VU. So I gave him a bunch of jackpots, and he was able to launch a bunch of war attacks and accumulate some war cards that way. But at some point, it came down to you can either pull out your pocketbook and buy these war card packs and keep this loop going, or you break the loop. And what I found to be really fucked up, honestly, was that it really is now a pay to win the contest of mayors, like more so than it was before. Like, yeah, you can always pay to do your tasks, but it still had to do with your choices, right? So now you're in this situation where as long as you get thrown into a good loop early on, all you have to do is pull out your pocketbook and you can roll a 27K average. Easy. Easy. Okay? And that is fucked up. It really is. It takes away the fun of the contest of mayors for the low-level players, because a lot of people really don't care about the benefits. They just care about winning, right? So there's a lot of people out there that obviously want to win to get that 2,000 cash or whatever. But look how many people don't really care about they're willing to spend 3,000 cash just to say they won, is what I'm saying. And so what's frustrating is before this, it had to do with your choices. It was like, okay, you can always run a 2K average as long as you make the right choices. Now, you may not win every week, but you can always run a 2K average based on your choices. And now it's like, well, you can get thrown into a loop early on, and as long as you pull out your pocketbook, you can just roll with it. And I'm like, wow, that is really messed up. And so then I get a message from a few people from the Facebook group, and they're showing me triple loops. And this was last week. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on here. This never happened before, and I can say that with certainty. That now you're seeing 3 tasks back to back to back. So now instead of it being a launch 3 VU after a 3K Tokyo, for example, you're throwing in a 3rd task, and you're in this triple loop, right? Now, CPT ended up breaking his loop because he didn't want to, why would he, spend money on, $15 for this war card pack and just to keep this stupid loop going. So it was a nice way for him to boost up his points, right? And then we broke the loop. And maybe about 5 or 10 tasks go by, and he gets thrown into another loop of cement with VU, launch 3 VU. And so he's been rolling that loop for a while. But it's crazy, you guys, because I've never seen anything like it. I have never seen anything like this. Everybody is getting thrown into these crazy loops where they're able to just stack obscene amounts of points and essentially just like blow it out of the water. And so I start looking at this other guy in my group's stuff, and he's a higher level player, and he has like 100, and I'll show you actually. It's right here on my screen. And I was talking to him last night. He has 163,990 points as a level 83 player. Now that is going to cost you a pretty penny, okay? Unless you're in a crazy loop again. And he ended up getting put into a gold keys loop with a upgrade 2400 task. Now for him, being a high level player, he can do that upgrade without it affecting his gameplay, right? So I start thinking on it, and I'm like, well, that's pretty messed up. So hold on here. Now we're saying that you can get these triple loops and double loops with upgrades, right? So for high level players where upgrades don't affect us, because we already done fucked ourselves too much anyways, I could potentially get thrown into a upgrade, let's say Omega 3 for 3K, and a Tokyo upgrade for 3K, and just roll a 3K loop forever, essentially. Because why wouldn't I? Why would I ever break that? And it's not going to cost me anything as far as like VU or cash. It's just going to cost items. And so I started looking at the guy in first place on his thing, and he says the guy in first place has 190 something thousand points. And I think, okay, there's 2 reasons for that. He's either hacked or he rolled a really good loop. And I started really thinking on it, and I'm like, okay, so if you have a total of 75 tasks in the Mega League, right? And that's with tickets. And here, let me show you guys something. Let me get the calculator up here so you guys can see this. So if you're rolling a 75 tasks, obviously by a 2K average, that would be 150,000 points, right? So he's doing more than that. So if he has 190,000, and he had a little over that. Oops. 190,000. 190,000, okay? Now, we're going to assume that this person used up all 75 assignments. He's running a 2,500 average, right? So how in the hell is he able to do that, right? Now, as a high-level player, my guess is he got thrown into a really good loop, is my guess, because that's not an easy thing to do, especially for cheap, right? Especially with a couple of days left in the contest, because this guy had points. So he's either hacked or he got thrown into a really good loop. And so you start looking at this and you go, okay, well, hang on, whoops, wrong button. Okay, so let's say that you did 60 tasks times 3,000 points each. That's 180,000 points, right? So let's say you did 64 tasks times 3,000 each. That's 192. That's right where he is. So you mean to tell me that potentially he did 64 total tasks for 3,000 points each, essentially, right? Or he did 75 tasks worth the average that we talked about, the 2,500. So how many assignments do we know are worth 2,500 points? Not too many. Obviously, you got the monster, which there's no way he got into a monster loop because he would have killed it, and there's a timer, so that's not possible. There's the regional currency, which why would you ever do a loop on that? There's the upgrades for the 2,400 or whatever, which would have put him below that, so that's not it. So you start really, breaking this down, and my best guess would be he was in an upgrade loop. Or, he's just completely insane and did somehow manage to do that many, VU upgrades or launches or whatever the case may be. But, now what I'm trying to say is, when you look at something like this, you used to be able to say, okay, this person's hacked because this is not possible. Now, you can't do that. Now it's like, well, they could be hacked, but they could not be hacked. It could be possible, right? And that really, really hurts the SimCity community, because now it's like, well, what do you do? Do you report them? Do you not report them? So the best thing that you can do at this point would be to screenshot their point jumps, okay? Watch for those loops and make sure that you guys are, anytime that you're getting into these loops, utilize them. Now, if you guys are lower level players that are playing CoM competitively, I strongly urge that you guys really, really, really try to learn the breakdown of the contest of mayors and make the right choices. Now, I've broken it down into 5 categories, and I'm going to teach you those 5 categories the best that I can, and then I'm done with CoM. I'm done teaching it, okay? Because I've had enough. They keep doing shit like this, and it's screwed the game up. Now, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about this is my opinion. This is not fact, okay? My opinion in the purpose of the contest of mayors is to keep the game moving. And what I mean by that is this. Have you guys noticed that when you guys are not on the contest of mayors, that the global market is pretty empty when it comes to like sugar or glass or whatever? And you're like, interesting. Now, the day off from the contest, have you also noticed that most of your clubs, the club that you're in is dead? Like, nobody's really on. And you look on global and you really don't see much of anything. Now, the first couple of hours after the contest is ended is the best time to shop the global market, because everybody dumps off all their rares. Now, the other thing that I've noticed is, okay, let's say for just a brief moment that we were to, hang on just a second here, try to see if this will open. Let's say that we were trying to say, okay, you know what, we're going to eliminate the contest of mayors. How would that affect the SimCity community? Well, a lot of people wouldn't make a lot of the stuff that they make during the contest. And so you have to think about the way that the algorithm works in the game, or whatever you want to call it, and say, well, you know what, if people produce the items that turn the highest profit, and everybody does that, right? then you're only going to see X amount of items on the global market. And so by allowing the contest of mayors to come in, it forces people to make things they wouldn't normally make. It gets people to participate in aspects of the game they wouldn't normally participate in, such as war, the monster, production, epic projects, whatever the case may be. It may not be something that you would have chose to do. So for the people that don't play the contest of mayors, they're able to focus on the aspects of their city and actually accomplish things. Whereas the people that don't focus on it, or that focus on the contest of mayors, they're constantly running in place, spending all of their resources, spending all of their stuff, their cash, their VU, their whatever the case may be, to end up with really nothing. Now, that's when I decided, okay, let's teach these lower level players how to play CoM like pros, and then go, obviously restart or start on, because you're a new player, and just win the Mega League as a low level player so you can actually benefit from the contest of mayors. But now, with this the way that it is, it's seeming like they're trying to make it to where it used to be based on choices, and it used to be based on participation and intelligence, and now it's just based on pocketbook. And it's like, okay, so why even do it then, right? If it's costing you money to win, why are you doing it, right? And so for you low-level players, the contest of mayors is still something that you're going to want to try, at least to try to do, because you guys can really benefit from winning Mega with the 250 plat keys and whatnot. But the high-level players, I'm telling you, this is even more of a reason why you should not play CoM competitively, okay? It will destroy your funds. It will destroy your bank account. It will, with those regionals, you're going to be paying for piggy banks and flights and stupid shit. Don't do it. It's a trap, okay? Now, what can you do to win the contest of mayors? How do you win? Even with this BS that they've smacked us with. You're going to break it down, or I have broken it down into 5 categories. I believe it's 5. And that is leaderboard assessment, and I've talked about this in one of my other videos, but that is, I'm going to briefly kind of go through and, hang on just a sec here, you guys. I want to make sure this stupid thing is still recording. I'm going to be really pissed if it's not. Okay, yeah, it is. I don't know why on this phone that stupid recording bubble doesn't pop up. There it is. Okay. Whew. You know how many fucking videos that I've recorded and had it just not record. Okay, so first thing, leaderboard assessment. What is it? How do you do it? Blah, blah. This is what you're going to do at the beginning of the contest. You're going to look at your leaderboard. You're going to see who's in it, if it's somebody that you recognize, if you notice somebody who's hacked, and whatnot. I already have a video up about this, and I have a video up about player assessment. Now, this is a very important part of the contest, is knowing who you're competing against, okay? Why is that important? Because you need to know how much of your resources and energy that you need to give, because it really doesn't make sense to participate in the contest of mayors if you have no chance of winning, right? So if you're going against a hacker and you know you're going against a hacker and you know the whole week is screwed, then why would you sit there and spend the next 5 days busting your ass and using all of your cash and resources? You wouldn't, right? You would just play casually and make sure that you at least got promoted into next week's league. Now, if you're noticing that you're constantly with this person, you may have to go up in level, okay, to get away from them. Now, they may also go up in level, and I have a video on player assessment, and this player assessment is super important, you guys. You can tell a lot about a player simply by looking at their profile. If I click on somebody in my group, I can tell. If I click on the contest, I can say, okay, he's a contest rank 10. That's nothing, which tells me he's not very competitive. Then I see that he has 53,000 points and he's only participated in 1 season. That tells me he hasn't been playing very long. So let's say that it said he participated in one season, but he has a contest rank of like 87. That's ridiculous, okay? So I'm gonna go look at my stuff and I've been playing CoM a really long fucking time, all right? A really long time. And my contest rank is nowhere near that. So if somebody like me, who's been playing a very long time, has a contest rank of 63, but then you see somebody who's level 18 that surpasses that and has only been playing the game for months, you know that there's something seriously wrong with that picture. The war rank. I've never been an avid war player, so my war rank is not very high. Now, if you're looking at players that are right around level 18, a lot of those players with the high war ranks and the high CoM ranks at level 18 are the ones that are going to give you a run for your money, because they're the ones that have been playing as high level players, started a feeder city or a new city, and this is their new city, right? This is their I kick your ass city. This is their I'm a pro and I just have it on low competition so I can beat your ass city. But there's also cities and people like that that are hacked, right? How do you know if somebody's hacked? Well, a really good indicator is to watch their stats. So what you can do is you can click on their stuff and then click the club tab. Now, let's say this person is not in a group. They're level 18. What can you tell by that? Well, you know they're not doing war tasks, right? For the most part. You know that if they're level 18 and you haven't seen their level go up, you know they're not doing upgrade tasks. You know they don't have tokens unlocked. So if they're putting up 100,000 points in a matter of a day or two, that should be very alarming to you. I mean, how are they doing that, right? And yeah, they could have got, I suppose they could have got thrown into an insane loop, but where are they getting all the VU? Okay, well, they could have bought cash. Yes, that's possible. But what you should be doing is really looking at this person's stats and going, okay, this doesn't make sense. Now, if you're not a president or a vice president and you can leave the club that you're in, what you can do is you can see their club code there, go to their group and travel to that person's city. And oftentimes you'll notice that when the people are hacked, you'll be able to tell right away. Maybe they have items placed right here. See where the regional HQ is right here? Right here, they'll have items placed on that part of the map, if they're hacked usually. There's other ways to tell if they're hacked too. But let's say that this person has an insane amount of points and they're below level 25, and you're like, that's interesting. They have no shops on their map. They have 3 slot factories, or maybe they don't have any factories. So how are they doing factory tasks with three slot factories? Well, how are they doing shop production tasks if they don't have any shops? How are they doing upgrades if they aren't going up in level? Well, they're not. So what fucking assignments are they doing then, right? And just start analyzing it that way. And if you look around their group and you start to notice, wait a minute here, there's more than one person city here that isn't making sense. And you start looking at everybody in their group and you start seeing, wait a minute, why does everybody have an obscene amount of points but nobody has really anything to show for? Or you go on their map and you see an obscene amount of stuff bought. Like maybe it's like 97 waterfalls or some shit. Obviously not 97, but you get my point. It's like, okay, so you've won Mega how many rounds with no resources of any kind, no way to do that. That is very, very alarming. That is when you take screenshots of everything and you send it into SimCity and you say, look, man, you guys need to shut this dude down because this is some BS, okay? That is what player assessment is. And that will save you a ton of time, money, and resources if you know the people you're going up against. It'll also help you understand their behavior, right? So let's say that you notice that every time you add points, this person adds points. But he doesn't add points as long as you don't add points. The best thing that you could do is, what they're doing is they're trying to use the least amount of assignments as possible to win. They're being greedy, okay? So what you do is you wait until the very end of the contest. and right maybe the last hour, and you just bomb them with points. Just, you know what I mean? Just hit them back to back. Just start doing any task you can do to add points for the highest amount you can. Hopefully you were smart and you had some extra ones done. And maybe you'll add 30, 40,000 points within an hour. And this person will just be like, oh my God, and they're going to try to catch up with you. But if you do it right, they won't be able to catch up with you in time because they might be on a different time zone. They might be asleep. You know what I'm saying? So, or you can, if it's your last task and you know that, you know, every time you add points they do, wait till the last 2 minutes of the contest, and then right before the contest ends, add those points. You can win that way quite a bit. Okay. That covers player assessment and leaderboard assessment. Now, I go in detail and explain this stuff a little bit better in my other videos, so be sure to check those out. The next thing that you guys are going to look at is, hang on just a second, task assessment. That is when you click on your list and you go through each one, okay? Now, if you guys have picked up a copy of my Contest to Mayors guide, that's CoM 101. That is extremely important. You're not going to be able to play the Contest to Mayors until you watch that video. Now, hang on just a sec. What is CoM 101? CoM 101 is where I go through and I explain to you everything you need to know about each task. For example, I'm just going to do an example, so most of you that are not familiar with that video, you definitely need to go and watch that before you even finish this video, because you're probably not going to understand half the shit that's being said in here. So, what do we know about Tokyo? Well, there's a couple ways that you break down a task: premium and non-premium. Premium is a 3K task, or a task that has the ability to be worth 3,000 points. Now, I've noticed a mistake that a lot of people have been making, and that is they are only focusing on doing premiums and leaving all the non-premiums to just sit forever. You cannot do that. You absolutely cannot do that. And you'll find out why here in a little bit. But what you're looking at here is a Launch 1 disaster is a premium task. So as long as that one sits there, it has the ability, or it has no ability of popping up again. Now, this particular task cannot pop up in more than one task. So there are certain tasks that pop up in duplicates and others that do not. This is one of those that does not. So I know that every single task that I do, well, this one remains there. I have eliminated all possibility of that task popping up of a higher points value. Now, what you're doing essentially in a task assessment is you're going to take a screenshot of your tasks and you're going to cross off any task that you are not going to touch under any circumstances given the current circumstances. Now, your task assessment is not something that you do one time. Your task assessment is something that you do pretty much every time you look at your list, but you don't have to actually screenshot it and cross anything off. So what I tell people when they get really stuck, they're like, I really don't know what to do here, and I've got all my non-premiums of lower points values, and I'm trying to figure out which task to do. I say, do your task assessment. And they're like, okay. They go, they screenshot it, and they cross off anything they know they're not going to touch under any circumstances. For example, I know that I'm not going to touch that delivery to Paris for 800. Not because it's worth 800 points. I mean, that is one reason, yes. But because delivery to Paris is non-premium, right? If I touch it, all I do by touching that task is I open up the possibility for another 800 point task, because you almost always have an 800 point task in your list. So if I eliminate that one, it's going to give me another one at some point, right? And I've also opened up the possibility of getting another Paris task, which again is non-premium. So why would I choose that task over something else, right? I wouldn't. Now, epic tasks are non-premium. However, because this one is worth 2,000 points, I know at some point I'm going to have to do it, because there's a couple of ways that what you're trying to do essentially is you're trying to rotate your assignments to increase your odds of higher valued assignments. And there's so many things to take into consideration when doing rotations. And that is the next category. Now, task assessment, I'm going to go, because I don't want to get off track here. This shit gets really confusing. Task assessment, I would not cross off the Epic project because I know that at some point I'm going to do that because of its points value. Now, let's say that I had that same task, but of an 800 points value or even a 1200. Then I would cross it off. Then I would say, you know what, I'm not going to do that because it's non-premium, because Epics are expensive, because they are on a timer if you don't have regionals, and for many other reasons. But the reason that I'm not crossing it off right now is because of its points value. If I have too many 2K tasks sitting there, it's not going to put up more tasks of higher points value. So my 1260 fans here, the fans, the next one down, that one I'm not going to cross off either. Now, I may not do it right now, but at some point I'm going to have to clear that production task. I know I'm going to have to. Now, at that point, I would probably say it's probably a good idea to get those going. So you should always be working on your tasks, you guys. Multitasking is super important. Now, what you don't want to do is fill your shops, okay? If you fill your shop with one item and you get a production task of a different item, you now have to either wait for all those other ones to finish, or you have to use tokens that are valuable, right? So what you should do is you should click on the shop here, and you should put one item down at a time. Now, how do you access this shop without having to collect the finish items to put other items down? There's two ways to do that. You either make sure your storage is full, or you use the yellow arrows on your screen to cycle through your shops. Now, this is a regional shop, okay? So I don't have any other shops on this current map, which is why I don't see the yellow arrows. If I pick this shop up and I put it in storage, if I can get a hold of it here, okay, I guess it doesn't allow you to store it anymore. They used to allow you to do that. Okay, so what we would have to do is we would have to go to our capital map, which hopefully they still allow us to do that. Jesus Christ, these people. But basically what you would be doing is you would be putting more than one shop on your map, okay? Now, you used to be able to store regional shops. I don't know when that changed, maybe a while ago. I haven't done it in a long time. So, go ahead, dude, get out of here. Come on. Nobody cares about war. Oh, for heaven's sake. Jesus. Don't care. Okay, so we're going to go over here. We're going to hold down on a shop, and we're going to put it in storage. What? Oh, for heaven's sake. My God. This game. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the stupid regional map I was on, and we're going to put this one down. Now, when I do that, see how the yellow arrows appear? These little yellow arrows. I can now cycle without having to collect anything, which means I can put something down, and then let's say that I had 10 donuts done, okay? And I wanted to lay one down. So what you should have is you should have 10 items ready for pickup and one item making at all times. This allows you to have 10 ready for pickup and constantly be working on something so you're not losing money. Now, obviously, in order for this to work, you would have to have one shop with nothing in it or maximum storage, right? So what you can do is, I mean, let's face it, everybody's always hurting for storage, right? What you can do is make sure that you just don't have that issue where you have open storage space and then click the shop and do it. But usually what I do is I put a shop before it that is something that I wouldn't normally use, like maybe the fashion store or something when it's open. I don't know if they actually removed the arrows. I think they did. I'll have to go and check for you guys. But that's one way, okay? So when you guys are doing your task assessments, you're crossing off anything in your list that you are not doing at all. And it's really important that you know which tasks do what, are worth what, if they're duplicates, how often they pop up, which ones are problematic. All these things take into consideration, not just, oh, it's premium and non-premium, and I do my highest point task. That's not going to get you very far, okay? So what else do we know about this list? So right now, I'm not crossing off epics, and I'm not crossing off the fans, right? Now, upgrade to Tokyo. This depends on, again, the person's, you got to look at setting the scene. That's what a different category is. And that is, what player is this? How am I going to know which task to do if I don't know anything about the player? So you guys know I'm level 99. I can do upgrade tasks. So that right there is a premium task for 2,000 points. I can do that task. But a lower level player that's camping cannot, right? So if this person cancels this task, we know that upgrade tasks come right back, and they always come back, and you can have duplicates, right? So right now, we're going to hold off on even touching that task for the time being. Now, if it was worth like 3,600 points, then we would consider canceling it. Now, when do you not cancel a task that's worth 3,000 to 3,600 points? When it's an upgrade task and you have a bunch of high point tasks and it's in placement, when you have a bunch of low tasks in place, because you have a higher probability of it coming back of a higher points value. Now, deliveries to Tokyo, that is a premium task. And airport tasks do pop up in duplicates, but not of the same category, right? Premium, Paris is non-premium for airport, but premium for upgrade. So we know we have the Paris down here for 800. That is an excellent placement for that, because now I know that Paris is not going to pop up and cause me any issues for the rest of the contest as long as I don't touch that task. The monster, that couldn't be in a better place. It really couldn't. That is the lowest point task for the monster. That stupid monster causes nothing but problems. He is only there at certain times, and he's non-premium, and he requires certain attacks, and he's just a pain in the ass. So anytime that you get the monster for 1,000 points or even 1,500 points, hallelujah, because don't touch that sucker, okay? So I can cross off the Paris and the monster for sure, and that's going to be throughout the entire duration of the contest. Now, the upgrade London town building, that is a 1K task. Because of my city level, that would be problematic because it is a premium task. But because you're camping, it's in an excellent placement because it's worth a low points value. Repair disasters 4. This task is non-premium. It's in a great points value, okay? And this task will pop up repeatedly. It doesn't pop up in duplicates, but it pops up repeatedly. If it does pop up in duplicates, that means the game changed somewhere, okay? So the only time you would really touch this task at this points value would be if you stalled on the contest, you took too long because you gotta work at a decent pace. You gotta take time when time is needed, and you gotta do tasks when it's necessary and when you can. If you stall and drag your feet, you will fail. If you run too quick, you will trip, okay? You've got to have a steady pace. Now, let's say that you fall behind on the contest of mayors, and you're just trying to get as many points done as quickly as possible with the least amount of money or resources spent. Trying to get into a key and VU loop is going to be your best bet, okay? Because those tasks usually pop up right after, back to back or whatever. They're usually worth right around 2,000 points, and they pop up frequently. That's going to be your best bet, okay? Saying that you can't do upgrades. Now, I also have this face scrub task for the sunny map. So again, It is a very low points value for now, but that is still holding a production placement. So I know I'm going to cash in on that task eventually. Now, I have this launch one sitting there for 1,000 points. This is a premium task, and as we discussed, as long as this one sits here, I can't do anything. Okay? I can do something, but it's not going to pop back. It's not going to give me a 3K VU as long as that one sits there. Now, when is it appropriate to leave a 1K VU sit? I'll tell you. When you have a lot of high-level tasks or high-point tasks. And that is because it has a higher chance of coming back of a lower points value if you have like 6 tasks above 2,000 points. So wait until you clear a few of those out. Now, the complete rows in Regional HQ task. This task is a pain in the butt, okay? It costs a lot of money, and it's just a pain in the butt. But, you know what? It can be worth a lot of points. So, it is something that I am going to want to clear at some point here. So, which task is my first choice? Well, what should I do? I already know that I need to have an epic project available. So, I better get working on making sure that I have a fully upgraded regular residential home that's ready for an epic project. I also better make sure that I have the money to start the epic project and that I make sure that I have the items needed to do that. If I do this epic project task, I want to do this when there is quite a few higher point tasks in my list. That way, hopefully it comes back of a lower points value. The fans is not going to be my first choice because the points value is very low. I'm still going to be working on those, though. Remember that. So that's where the multitasking comes in. A lot of you guys will look at your list and you'll be like, I'm going to work on this, but I'm not going to work on all the other things below it, right? And then they work on it once they decide to actually do it. You cannot play like that. You have to multitask. So what I need to do is I need to go and start making the face scrub and the fans, okay? One at a time, like we discussed already. So what is my first choice? Well, I have 1, 2, and 3 2K tasks, which really isn't too many. So technically the first choice here is going to be the launch 1 VU, okay? Because I don't have too many high point tasks. Now, let's say that it wasn't the launch 1. Let's just eliminate the launch 1 VU altogether. Say that that's not there. What would the next choice be? Well, for my level, it would actually be the upgrade Tokyo Town building, okay? Because that's going to open up a premium placement and it's going to allow me to clear a 2K task. Why not the do deliveries to Tokyo? Why did I pick the upgrade? Well, because do deliveries cost money, right? And I know I'm going to do it eventually, but right now I can save some money. So the other thing is you're going to want to look at your airport and make sure that you're paying attention to your flight times. So right now, it says 7 hours until new shipment, right? So I'm going to leave that sit there because I still have 7 hours. So if I get a London airport task within the next 7 hours, that's one less flight that I have to pay to bring in, right? I know I'm not going to be doing Paris, so I can do whatever I want with the Paris. Now, if you pre-pack the boxes to the airport flights, you will not be able to request a new flight. You have to wait the full timer out before you, or you have to pack up the rest of the boxes. So just keep that in mind, okay? Now, the other thing here, and this is basically what you're going to do in a task assessment. So we would have crossed off anything that we're not doing, and there's not a whole lot that I wouldn't do in this particular task list. So that's basically what you're doing. Now, what is rotation? Rotation is where you are cycling out high non-premiums for lower non-premiums, okay? So let's say that I had a 2,500 monster, a 2,000 gold keys, a 2,400 repair VU. Those are higher non-premiums. They have to be cycled out. You have to do them at some point because they're taking up too high points values, okay? You got to get those ones lower. Now, if you do them at the wrong time, they're just going to come back of a higher points value, right? So you've got to be very careful when you select those tasks. When what is reverse rotation? It is the exact opposite. It's when you have a bunch of low non-premiums and you really don't know what to exchange out, right? So let's say, like, for example, how you guys see a Launch 1 Monster in my list, and then you see the 800 Paris, and then you see the 1K London, 1600 VU repair. Let's say I had a 1200 gold or 1600 gold keys or whatever it is. And then let's say that I had a, what else? Let's say I had war deliveries for like 1500. That's a premium task. So essentially what you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking at it and you're going to cross off anything that you're not going to touch. And you're going to work on the top 3 or whatever tasks are left and try to make your selection from there. And what you're doing is you're trying to rotate out those and keep those non-premiums of a lower points value so that you can get the premiums of a higher points value. Now, getting that to be set up can be kind of irritating. So anytime that you open up your task list right away and you see a 1K Monster and an 800 Paris and a 1600 keys or something, I mean, that's excellent. That's a lot less work that you have to do now. You don't have to rotate all that shit out. Now it's already done for you. And so essentially you've narrowed down the possibilities of tasks, but you've increased your odds of getting higher tasks. So rotation can be kind of a pain in the butt. And what I've noticed is that a lot of people have been able to understand it better when I walk through the list. And so that's what I have planned to do. Okay. So this is going to be part 1 of the video, and I'm actually going to stop this video here, and then you guys can look up part 2. Part 2, I'm going to go through everybody's list, or well, not everybody. I'm going to go through random people's lists, and we're going to do a breakdown so you can see the technique in action and actually see me using the technique. And I think that you guys will understand it so much better once I break it down that way. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and end this, get it uploaded, and then be sure to check out part 2 of this video.